Now, going back to what I was saying, I think the best way to be approaching this task is to say, whatever we do in class, that's the task I'm trying to go. And just work slowly and steadily through the tasks, and you'll find that over the 9 weeks, it's not going to be a big deal. I think if you get ahead, you can certainly go to the textbook and look up, for example, we're looking at target markets today, but you could have gone and looked up target markets and worked out what you wanted to do and gone from there if you had have wanted to. I would tend to stick with what we're doing in class, and I will promise that we get through all topics. So unless I'm a liar, then you're not in trouble there. Let's have a quick look at these notes that I want you to get down. Target markets and market segmentation. As a basic introduction, right, this deals with what you guys need to know in terms of who am I trying to sell to. Am I selling to families? Am I selling to people of a certain age? Am I selling to people with a certain interest? Who am I selling to? And later on we'll give you some categories that we can break things down. But that's what you need to know. Who am I selling to? And how can I describe this? And the higher order part of this, which I expect students who are getting a B and above, is we're going to look at some Australian Bureau of Statistics data, and that will give us a sense of how well we can pull some of that data out, for example, for a suburb, and say, yeah, these people exist here or these people don't exist here. So any questions at this stage? Yeah, so this idea, I'm trying to win people away, just seeing if we can find a way of getting content to people who've missed it.
Wait, what is it? I need to write this down.
Target markets and market segmentation.
What's the day?
The basic definition. Target market is a relatively homogeneous, that's a fancy word for similar, group of consumers who are likely to react in a similar way to a business's marketing mix. That is that these are going to be the people who look at what you've got and say, okay, I'd really like to be buying from yourselves. As an example, we just had near the street where I live, there's just a health food bar that has been started up. And so the people, the consumers who are going to react to their advertising, their marketing mix, their product, are probably going to be those people who are particularly health conscious. They might be the same people who use the gym next door. There'll be a group of consumers that they're targeting, or a couple of groups of consumers that they're targeting. This is the basis of a target market. Can you describe who your target market is? Who you're trying to sell to? Can we what, sorry?
We've already written this down.
Have you guys already got target markets down?
Yeah, yeah, hold on. Oh, yeah, right here.
Okay.
I got that little bit there.
Have you got any more?
Yeah, there's like market dimensions and...
Yeah, that's the key thing we're going through.
I don't have it. I think you were doing...
Gal, do you have it? Yeah, we went through the end of last term. Gal, have you got this down already?
Or you didn't really apply it to our situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're happy enough to go through. There aren't a lot of slides, so we'll go through these and go from there.
Market. Five people, 5. Right, please put it up.
Okay. There are different strategies you can use. Undifferentiated marketing, tending to market towards pretty much all consumers. Gold Lotto is an example of that. You guys know when there's a big Gold Lotto draw on, the line that lines up at the newsagent, there's people from all age groups.
Yeah, but it's mostly old people that win it.
Mostly old people that win it.
Yeah, because have you noticed they're always like their own name and
Okay.
or maybe a TV and you show different types of people coming through. Like you're not going to show a billionaire winning $1 million in the lotto. Like,
but, you know, they never have like 25-year-olds or like families or anything. It's all old people.
So where's the older people? Okay.
Yeah, and they're like,
Can we fly them?
I can finally enjoy my retirement. I'm like, you're gonna die here.
You can be very cheerful stockbrokers. You help these people prepare for retirement. Very
They're
nice.
going to die anyway. Don't
Very
worry
nice.
about it.
That's what I'm gonna say. Like, if you lose your money, it doesn't matter. You'll die eventually.
Undifferentiated marketing. I think McDonald's has probably gone to a fairly undifferentiated marketing model. I don't know if you guys remember, probably 7 or 8 years ago, they started showing a lot of images of older people. I think it was in their It's Mac Time series of ads. Suddenly they went away from being, they've obviously got the Ronald McDonald's and they've got the playgrounds which target the critters end of the market. But they've obviously they've made a distinct or a very conscious move to go to a higher end consumer as well, like an older consumer. But yeah, you'd think fast food often works on a fairly undifferentiated market. Products like Coke,
That's the younger people.
yeah. The big brands like Nike and that, fairly broad. The niche market. Now this may be for some of you. A niche market, an example of a niche market for mine will be food that's targeted towards people who might have a specific allergy. So there may be, the idea of gluten-free food, for example. Certainly started as a bit more as a niche market. I think it's become a little bit more than that. I think a lot of people are choosing that. But that would be an example of a niche market, a very small market, very easy to just define exactly who your customers are. So they're the two ends of the spectrum. Have you got an undifferentiated market where you're just trying to market to everyone who basically walks past a service station? Or have you got a niche market, something that is fairly fine that you're looking at?
Would you, like I know if groceries running a coffee shop business, it's kind of everyone has coffee.
Yeah.
But what would you say, like mine would be like tea. Not many people like doing it. But it's not like niche or it's like fun, but only these type of people.
You're like Kurt Coleman.
No. Okay, how much of you guys still bring you to do
So there is
You should.
remember it is a continuum, so you might be somewhere in the middle and say, okay, it's a fairly large group, but it's all in a certain age group or all with a certain interest. Interests are one way of defining your target market. If there's something, if you're looking at, for example, a group of consumers who are particularly news savvy and very interested in what's happening in the news, they want to know, first of all, that Robin Williams has died this morning. They're interested in hearing that news before everyone else, those sort of things. That may be...
You know, Dead Poets Society guy? Oh. No way. Yeah, they suicide.
That's what's being reported, yes. Market dimensions. Markets usually divided... Now, this is where we think about it. This is where you think you have to be describing your own business. Demographics, geographics, and behaviours. We'll look at each of these in turn. Demographics might refer to something like how much income they earn. Are they male or female? Do they have a family or are they single? And one of the year 10s in the business class is doing a little marketing project around an online dating site. So obviously they're looking generally at singles, although we know from the Baden Clay trial that as a married man he had a certain amount of interest in these sort of sites, but you're generally looking at singles, you'll be looking at people in different age groups, you're certainly looking at people who are internet savvy for that sort of business. They're the way you might describe it. So demographics might be income, age, gender. Geographic, where do they live? Are you doing something physical where it has to be in the North Lakes area? For example, if you're doing some building projects, you're installing hot water systems, it's going to be defined geographically. For other businesses, you've obviously got the capacity to sell products all around the world. If you're selling smaller items that can be posted, you might decide to target other places around the world.
With geographic, does it relate to like climate and stuff like that?
It could, yeah. You might say, so if you're selling snow boots, that's going to limit the areas where that might be interested as well.
Like we can't sell snow boots on the Gold Coast or something like that.
Not usually, no.
Not really.
And behaviour. So there you're looking at saying, is there a certain behaviour that you might be targeting? Here it might be things like, let's say you were put together a fitness magazine. Well, you're going to be looking at people who have a particular interest in fitness, and so there might be behaviours you can identify. If you're running tours to the World Cup, you might be really interested in people who attend football games, soccer games, whatever it might be. So there are your three elements. Geographic is basic enough that we don't expand it anymore, but we'll look at these other two a bit further. Just jot down some examples of demographics. Said a few of those: age, gender, ethnicity. Education, you won't be selling master's degree courses to anyone except those people who've already got a bachelor degree probably. Family size, maybe if you're trying to sell a people mover car, you're looking to target larger families. Income, religion, occupation might be different examples of demographics that you target. Just jot down two more of those and we'll get on to the next slide. And the last one for today. This is looking at people's behaviour. So they might be interested in the types of shopper a person might be. For example, we often hear this phrase, early adopter. Australians are meant to be very strong early adopters of technology. So when the iPod came out, Australians, for a very relatively small market, we have about a 15th of the number of people compared to the United States. For a relatively small market, there are a lot of us who will buy that new technology. There are other people who are going to be frugal shoppers, and they might be more interested in a Costco type offering, okay, where you buy in bulk and save some money and those sort of things. Interests, a whole lot of shops that sell camping gear, for example, fishing gear, they're the interests that people are looking after, and social position might be something that influences the behaviours that people might try to target. So I'm hoping that some of you are now saying, okay, when I put together my target market, I can see that I'm interested in families or singles, I'm interested in people this sort of age, I'm interested in high income, low income, where's it going to fit in? What are some of those descriptions? What are the interests? Is it that they're particularly interested in the news, they want to find out about what's happening in the world? They're kind of the ideas. Now this next part is really important because this is something I want to see us apply. We can say all we want, we can describe our market, it's all nice, but then I want us to get down to what does this look like in reality? Can we actually target these people? If we go to this website, abs.gov.au, okay, the Australian Bureau of Statistics.
Per house is 2.3. That is 2.5. That's why it's growing.
What is the average number of people who live in a house? That was just for one suburb, but we'll have a look at that. Yeah, that was the suburb I looked in. Now, I always get excited by this population clock on the last time. There's a whole lot of maths you can do around this, but we'll just move on from that. That ticks over every minute and 20 as an estimate of what Australia's actual, at the moment, population is. We're not interested in all the statistics. There are plenty of fascinating ones there. For business across the headline, it came and gave the unemployment figures that came in last Thursday, and they were perhaps not as good as people had hoped. If you go down here, we're interested in the census data. So if you go and click on the census data and go to Quick Stats, what that gives us is a breakdown of all the people at the last census, the 2011 census. I noticed over in Western Australia they're doing a trial run for the next census in a year or two already. They're going to try and do this next census online. But 2011, I was up in Bowen in North Queensland, and I filled out my little form up there. This gets all those details from there. So it shows across Australia there were 21 million people. There were slightly more females than males. Families had on average 1.9 children. There were nearly, just over 9 million and so on. 2.6 people per household. The median household income, and gives us that level of detail. But if we want to go in here, we can put a suburb or a postcode or even a region and get some details. I'm not sure how it'll work, but let's just try with. Okay. If I click on Sunshine Coast, it tells us there's 306,000 people who live there, that the females significantly outnumber the males. It's an older area, 42 is the median age. That's probably not surprising. There are probably more retirees than in that area than you think. So I think around areas of Caloundra, maybe stereotypically, I think it was a little bit of a retirees area. You can get a bunch of information there if you're going to run your business in that area. What's the postcode for North Lakes? 4509. Okay. Let's have a look at what we've got here. We'll go into a little bit more detail. Remember, we've got ABS, census data, and then quick stats. There are 19,000 people. Sorry?
How do you get there? Census data.
Census data down the left-hand side, and then quick stats also down the left-hand side.
No, I'm still.
You still lost?
Oh, no, I found it.
Brooke can help you.
No, I'm lost. Oh, wait, here.
Quick stats down the left-hand side? Yep.
Got it.
Okay, for 4509, you can see the region there. We can see we're right in the middle north of that region. And there are 19,000 people who live here. Once again, females outnumber the males. The median age, though, is 31. So it's a very young population out here compared to Australia. So if you've got a product that's targeting a young person, that's a really nice observation to make if your business is situated in North Lakes. Median household income here is $1,754, which I think is higher than the average across Australia. I'm just going from my memory. You'd have to go back and check. But that might be something you mention on. If you're looking at an income and you think you're targeting slightly higher wage earners, you can make a comparison there. Now, all these drop-down menus give you a whole lot of information about different elements. Okay? So at first, it talks about the male-female split, and then it splits it down into age groups. So you could say, Varishka, let's say you were particularly targeting people you thought were going to buy was going to be 20 to 34. You can work out exactly how many people in that demographic there are in the suburb 4509. And you can compare and say, actually, there's 30 to 34, 8% of the population is in that age group, whereas across Australia it's only 6.8 across Australia, 6.6 across Queensland. So you can go into some depth about that. Use some of that data to support your information. It gives you details on how many people are married, separated or divorced. It gives you education levels. If you're targeting people, I think Varishka probably would say she might be interested in targeting people who've at least completed secondary school, maybe a little bit higher. And we could say, okay, well, how does that compare with the rest of Australia, our different levels of qualifications? And you could use that table to compare and say, yeah, there are this many people with that. So you can go through all those different tabs, the number of people who are working, the extent to which they're part-time and full-time, and you can find some information that you can use to say, yes, this is going to be a good target market for you. Okay. Gail, does that make sense for you? Okay. Tiffany, any questions about that? Does anyone have any questions about that? And you can see how that links to target markets, okay? Once you start to describe your target market, then you can come and have a look at this and say, yeah, okay, these are the sort of people who exist in my target market. Does anyone have any questions about that? Everyone's got the quick stats okay? No problems? Gail, Tiffany, you guys have got to that quick stats okay? Yeah. So that's really what I want you to work through then today. You say, okay, for my business, describe the target markets. If I were being a thoughtful student, what I'd do is I'd go into quick stats first and I'd have a look at what data is available there to make sure I define my target market in a way that I can then use this to get some statistics. For example, education level or age or working or not or family, those sort of things. And making sure I'm using the data from here to go back and work some things out. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I will let you get going on that. It doesn't have to be a big section. Right? Just saying who your target market is and working through that. And that would be very good.